Are you thinking about relocating to Phoenix, but you want to know what the real scoop is? Like, what is it really like to live in Phoenix? Today, I'm going to give you 10 things you should know before moving to Phoenix, Arizona. And not surprisingly, most of them have to do with the weather. Number 1, Phoenix gets hot. I'm sure you've heard this. We have crazy hot summers. During the summer, it can get on average over 100 degrees at the height of the day. So usually during the summers, we're either hanging out inside or by the pool or by a lake. We kind of hibernate in the summer. But as you may have heard, it is a dry heat. I know this past summer there were cities all over the country that were getting over 100 degrees, but they were humid. When it's a dry heat, you're just not out there feeling like you're swimming in a sauna somewhere and just sweating through everything. After a few summers here, surprisingly enough, you do get acclimated to the heat. But the summers are hot. But it's all worth it for when the fall comes around and the beautiful weather comes back to Phoenix. Number 2, the winters can get cold, surprisingly. You wouldn't think that, but December, January, the highs are probably in the 50s or 60s, and the lows overnight can get down to almost freezing weather. There has been reports of snow in the mountains, like the Superstitions. Here's a picture of me right by one on New Year's Day. And some northern communities in Scottsdale and Cave Creek can get snow on occasion. It doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't stick. We don't get mountains of snow. It's usually just a pretty blanket that we get to enjoy, but it does get cold. So we usually survive on a hoodie or a light jacket. You don't really need to bring your puffy down winter coat. I'm looking at you, Chicagoans. Number 3, we have winter visitors. Much like the Canadian geese that come down and take over our little suburban lakes, we have part-time residents that move here around October, stay until about April. They're coming from places that have pretty harsh winters, so the Midwest and Canada. They come here, they live about 6 months out of the year here because the winters are beautiful here. We lovingly call them snowbirds, and we love them here because they do help our economy and bring a big boost to the economy, especially in the wintertime. But when we do have the winter visitors, things change a little bit, mostly with traffic and our popular amenities like restaurants and golf courses and things like that. So if you want to be out at a popular attraction in the wintertime, know that we do have a lot of winter visitors that are also here trying to enjoy the best that Phoenix has to offer in the winter. So let's talk about that traffic. That's my number 4, traffic here. Phoenix is not a walkable city. It is really large. It is really spread out. It takes anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour to go from one corner of the valley to another corner of the valley. So you do need a car. You definitely need a car when you're here. We do have public transit systems. We have buses. We have a light rail, but they will take you twice as long to get anywhere that you want to go. And they are not fun to use in the summer. Trust me on that. But if you have a car, it's relatively easy to get around. Most of the valley is on a grid system. Our freeways are on a loop. But during rush hour traffic, those peak business hours, you are going to see a slowdown on the freeways, and you're going to see fairly aggressive driving. But seriously, it is nothing like some of the major cities that I've been in. I've driven rush hour in LA, and it is no fun. Once you get to know the freeway loop system and how the streets work, it's really easy to navigate around. So if you hate rush hour traffic, there are ways that you can get around it and have a fairly smooth commute. Number 5, plants. Plants grow in the desert. I know a lot of people think the desert is like those sandy dunes that you see in the Sahara. Not like those. Not like those dunes. No, there is a lot of plant life in the Sonoran Desert. We have trees, we have bushes, we have cacti all over the place, and they make for really rich habitats for other animals and birds. As you move closer to the cities and the suburbs, you'd be surprised what can grow here. Yes, people have grassy lawns. Some of our man-made washes that we create, that we call green belts, are actually covered in grass, and they double as parks and recreation areas. And although we have a lot of native trees like the Palo Verde and the mesquite, there are other trees that are all over the place, including pine trees, citrus trees, and even deciduous trees that drop their leaves in the fall. So you can have those little fall-like colors if you want. You could grow a garden in your backyard. You could have herbs, you could have fruits, you could have vegetables. Things grow here on a seasonal basis. There are tons of farms. You'd be amazed. Even corn farms. Number 6. One of the big topics out here is water in the desert. And how is that used? Especially if we're talking about plants and green grass and all that kind of stuff. Like, where does this water come from? We don't have a water supply straight here in Phoenix. Most of our water comes from the Colorado River that is kind of directed here through the Salt River and the Verde River. But water is heavily regulated and watched here. Even though we have a huge population growth over the last few years and will continue to have a population growth, our water supplies are sustainable. They are watched regularly. And I've never experienced in the whole time I've been here any sort of water regulation where you had to alternate days to water your grass. I've experienced that in Texas. I know that that goes on in California. I've never even heard of that here. You can use water fairly freely here. You also can get benefits for having a more xeriscape or desert landscaping design in your home. You will see more desert landscaping along the freeways and along neighborhoods. So you could conserve some water that way. And the average water bill for a family here is about $50 a month. So although water is precious here, it is not this really expensive commodity that we have to scrimp and save and take care of. It is regulated, it is watched. All right, number 7, we have some crazy bugs. The questions I get most about are scorpions. Ooh, scorpions. I'm probably gonna have a whole other video on this for you guys because I could talk about scorpions all day. The most common scorpion we have out here is the Arizona bark scorpion. It's not very big. I think the biggest it gets is about that. And really, you want to worry about the little ones, the baby ones. Those aren't, no. But the Arizona bark scorpion does have a nasty sting. I have been stung by one, and I was pretty scared of them up until that point. And after that point, I was like, that hurt. But it wasn't as bad as I anticipated. It's possible you could live here and never see a scorpion, but they are fairly common. You just have to watch out for other bugs around your house, mostly crickets, small beetles, small spiders, because those are the scorpion's food. So as long as you are cleaning up any of those basic bugs, you shouldn't have a huge scorpion problem. Just make sure you have your pest control. If you do plan to buy a home here in Phoenix, you will want to get a termite inspection. There are 2 kinds of houses in the Phoenix area. There are ones with termites and ones that will get termites. We have a subterranean species of termite that lives underground. You can see evidence of them. They make little tubes on your house, but they don't like go in and like eat all the wood in your house like you'd see in a cartoon. They're not that bad. So again, as long as you get them treated, they're never an issue. And although you're coming to a nice dry heat here in Arizona, yes, we do have mosquitoes. They do come up, they breed really fast in standing pools of water. So I personally have never had an issue where I've just been really attacked by mosquitoes out here, but they are there. They're teeny tiny. You probably will hardly ever see them. They just kind of hover around and you'll see a little bite every once in a while. I think I never ever use any sort of spray. I might have a citronella candle going on once in a while, but I've never really had a big issue with mosquitoes unless there is some sort of standing water nearby that just hasn't gotten taken care of. And then there's the day that you're gonna see your very first Palo Verde beetle. Palo Verde beetles can get 3 to 4 inches in length. And the first time you see one, it's very startling. Actually, every single time I've seen one, it's been very startling because they're so big and they're just kind of, but they are slow moving beetles. They're super harmless and they're just one of those wonderful things about the Sonoran Desert. All right, my 8th thing. We have an outdoor culture. If I've scared you off about the plants and the bugs, then maybe Phoenix just isn't the place for you. When fall comes around, Phoenicians practically live outside. We have hundreds of miles of hiking trails, we have parks, we have gardens, we have outdoor concert venues, and we dine al fresco. We have running clubs, we have bicycle clubs, we have motorcycle clubs, we have kayaking clubs, and we have all sorts of other sporting organizations, so you can be outside all the time. We have lakes and rivers galore. You can boat, you can kayak, you can swim, you can fish, and you can inner tube down the river. With over 300 days of sunshine, your outdoor plans are rarely ruined because of the weather. Oh, except for number 9, monsoon season. The majority of the rain that we get here in the desert is during monsoon season. It usually comes around middle of June to the end of September. It's caused by pressure systems and winds just funneling moisture across the desert. The monsoons come in fast and furious with lightning and thunder and these big walls of dust called haboobs that come in and dump just rain. They dump really heavy rains that cause zero visibility and flash flooding. So they can be dangerous if you're not careful. But as powerful and torrential as they can be over in an instant and the sun's coming out again. We Phoenicians do look forward to monsoon season because it does cool down our very hot summers and brings much needed water to the desert. And number 10, non-native Arizonans. Based on the most recent census, only 20% of Arizonans over the age of 25 are native to Arizona. We are a transient state. People come here usually because of jobs and commerce, which is the reason my parents originally moved here. But many of them come just because of the beauty of the desert and they stay here. I've known people coming from overseas that dreamed of living here just based off pictures they saw. I mean, those sunsets are really beautiful. Having such a mix of diverse people here means residents bring their culture here. And I don't mean all the Cubs fans that flock here during spring training. I'm looking at you again, Chicagoans. No, but seriously, I love Chicago. Great city, so much fun. So even in Phoenix, there are a myriad of cultural centers and heritage museums and ethnic foods and just interesting people to meet all the time. Almost everyone you meet has a story to share of someplace else. So these are my 10 things that you should know before moving to Phoenix, Arizona. If I missed one, let me know. Put it in the comment and I'll bring it up in another video. If you want to know a little bit more, I also have my pros and cons of Phoenix video right up there. You can click that. And if you are thinking about relocating to Phoenix and want to know more about the area, please reach out to me. My information's here. I'd love to help you out. Until next time, stay geeky, my friends.